So in this video, we cover a credit card setup that has cards from Capital One, Chase, and Citi. The question asked by the viewer seems simple on the surface, but there's actually a lot of complexity and nuance involved in the answer. I also go over how I tackle a large-scale mega redemption for 4 to 6 people, including which hotel chain and which airline I think would be the best for that specific situation. Now, both of these topics have a lot of learning points, and I know you'll get something out of this video. So with that being said, let's just jump right in. And we'll kind of move on to our next section, which is credit card setups. And so there's another question here that involves a credit card setup. And so I do want to go over that. And this is from D Green, who I believe was here in the chat earlier just now. He says, "Hey Stan, I currently hold the Capital One Duo, which is the Venture X plus the Saver, Strata Premier, and Sapphire Preferred as my core cards. There's a lot of overlap in my setup, so long term, I think it makes sense to focus on 2 ecosystems versus splitting spend between all 3. How would I go about choosing that? Or is there a scenario where keeping all 3 makes sense? Thanks." So yeah, I think if you're going for simplicity, 2 is easier to handle. 3 actually is not too bad, and there are situations where 3 would be okay, and so we'll go over that in a moment. But there's one thing that is very, very true in what you said, is that there is a lot of overlap. And so this is kind of visually what your credit card setup looks like. Again, you have a catch-all credit card with the Venture X. You have multiple cards that cover grocery and dining and streaming. And then you have the Strata Premier that covers kind of that select travel category, with the CSP, the Sapphire Preferred, covering that other category at 2x. And so you do have everything, for the most part, covered pretty well. But the question you have is, should I keep it with 2 or should I keep it with 3 different ones? So let's go ahead to the first question, which is what I want to focus on first, is what are your top spending categories? So this is a very simple question, but it has a very complex answer because there's not as much information as we had in the first question, where we kind of knew a lot more information. So you can see that with earnings, if you know what your top spending categories, it'll help you figure out which card you want to focus on. And so the way I see it right now for you is that you have the Capital One Duo already, and that covers a lot of the spending that you would typically do for most things. And then you have the Strata Premier card and the Sapphire Preferred. So the question is, do you want to go Chase route or do you want to go Citi route? Those are the two, I guess, diverging paths to take. So one thing that I see that's missing in your core credit card setup would be these specialty cards. So those are the 5x or 5% cashback type of cards where you would earn that kind of level of rewards in a single category. So for example, the Chase Freedom Flex, the Ink Cash, the Citi Custom Cash, those can help get you a higher return on those main categories that you may spend on you have a lot of spending in those categories. And so I think thinking about that would be helpful. But to really dive into the next question, which is Chase or Citi, I think what you have to think about also is not only the earnings side of that question, but also the redemption side as well. And so the redemption side is, what are your goals for your credit card setup? And we didn't talk about that in the question, but it sounds like because you're using a lot of these point earning cards, it's going to be for a redemption of some kind. We don't know where it's going to be. We don't know what airlines you prefer, but answering those questions are going to be helpful because then you can figure out which ecosystem you want to target. And so if we look at Capital One, Citi, and Chase, you can see that these transfer partners all transfer from all 3 of these issuers. So Flying Blue, KLM, Virgin Atlantic, Emirates, JetBlue, and Singapore Airlines all transfer to those partners. So if you want to keep all the cards and have 3 ecosystems and you want to use one of these transfer partners, you can do that, and that's not a problem because they all transfer to that same partner. But if you wanted to do a specific partner that was not covered or something like that, then that would be a different story. So that's the earnings and the redemption side of things for this particular question. And so answering those questions is going to help you to determine Chase or Citi. So the recommendations for me is it's open. I don't know if there's a one way or the other I would go. I'm always a big fan of simplicity. So if I would cut down to 2, I would. But having said that, I have 3 or more ecosystems in my own setup. So I would be kind of hypocritical if I told you to that, that's too complex. It's not. Having 3 ecosystems is actually pretty easy. If you count things like, hotel programs, airline programs, points from cashback, all that stuff. Like there's so many in my personal setup. So 3 actually really isn't that bad. And I think you're in a good spot because you can determine where you want to go. I would say if you wanted to make your core credit card setup more streamlined, that would be the first thing I would do, is figuring out like, how can I make a very optimized core credit card setup? And then I would jump to, okay, now I get the earnings side taken care of, which is the easier part. Now let's focus on the redemption side of where I want to put these points into. So having said that, Chase is easier to earn points through welcome offers. So if you want to get a lot of points very quickly, you can just use Chase to do that as long as you're under 524, because those welcome offers are really good. And there's a lot of good ones now, like the 100K Sapphire Preferred. We already have one, but that's one. You have the IHG, business card. That's got another one that's really good. And so other ones will come up too, like the Merit 5 card or 5 free night one will come up eventually at some point. And then, the United ones currently have all elevated offers too, if you want to look at those. There's a lot of options. So think of what you want to do. Citi has the best long-term core setup. The problem that plagues Chase, as we all know, is that there's always going to be an issue with groceries and gas with Chase. Now you have Citi already with the Strata Premier, so that's already good. So if you have a Citi setup, your core setup was going to be pretty solid if you decide to go with Citi. So I would say that. But having said all of that, so Clairvoyant says PayPal debit or Citi Custom Cash. Yeah, exactly. Again, I don't know. And Journey for Points also says PayPal debit. The reason why I didn't say that, because I don't know if his goal is cash back or points. I assumed it was points because he used only point earning cards. But if cash back is the goal, I love the PayPal debit card. That thing is a monster. So it's basically a better version of a Citi Custom Cash card with a higher limit, except you can't transfer to partners. And so definitely a good option for sure. Oh, D Green's already here. These are good questions to think about to help focus my setup. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that you're here and you're able to listen to this live. D Green also says, I'm the primary earner in my family, and dining grocery is my highest spend category outside of my mortgage. Okay. Well, then you already have, if we go back here, you already have a Saver card and you already have a Strata Premier card. So you have double coverage. I would just choose one of those cards to focus on and then call it a day. If you wanted to get like the custom cash for like the gas card, or if you wanted to go cash back like Journey for Points and Clairvoyant said with the PayPal debit card, if you and your wife, and this is how I do it with my household too, so my wife has a PayPal debit card for groceries, I have a PayPal debit card for restaurants, and so we get 5% cash back up to $1,000 per month on dining and groceries, and we both spend under the $1,000 limit per month in each category. And the grocery card is really, really cool, and I'm sure for your family as well, because the 5% grocery covers Target, Costco, and it covers Walmart, which is insane. So I think if that's a place you shop at a lot, that's something to consider as well. And the debit card is so easy because you just go on your app, be like, I want a debit card, click, and then you have a debit card. It's so simple. So think about that too. Definitely a great thing to think about. Okay. So that is the recommendation for that. The last poll on this live stream is this one. So I want you guys to see if you were in D Green's situation, would you pick Chase or would you pick Citi to go towards as your next one? Assuming you kept the Capital One duo, would you go Chase or would you go Citi? So this is what that looks like. Would you choose Chase or Citi? Moving on. So I'll put my vote in too. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people are favoring Chase much more than Citi, which is interesting because I feel like Citi gets a lot of like positive press, but Chase, for whatever reason, just has a very strong following. I don't know if any of you guys have voted for Chase. Why would you say you would want to go with Chase? Like, what's the reasoning about that? I'd like to know that for sure. But yeah, if you want, again, a lot of welcome offers, a lot of good welcome offers, a lot of points really quickly, Chase would be the way to go for that. And so it looks like it's pretty unanimous that Chase is the way that people would like to go, at least if they were you, D Green. So definitely think about what you want to do. If you want to continue with Chase, that may be helpful in the case that also if you are early on in your credit card journey, you can get the Chase cards first, get over 524 and then move on to Citi second. That's also another option to choose from. So there's a lot of different ways to go with this, which is really, really great. Let's see. J Chain says Chase customer service has been really good so far. Heard bad things about Citi. Okay, that's customer service. Robert J says Citi customer service sucks. So there's that. So I guess that's kind of one of the reasons customer service does make a difference. Calder DS, who I believe was in the chat earlier as well, asked a question. He said, "Hi Stan, curious to hear how you'd plan to take on an Uncle Luke style mega redemption, say 5 nights at a tropical destination for 4 to 6 people. What cards, loyalty programs, redemptions would you be leaning towards?" So basically, the plan of attack I have would be to choose a hotel program first and then choose the airline program, because the hotel program is easier to do than the airlines. I don't know of a specific destination other than it's tropical. So that could be Hawaii. It could be the Caribbean. It could be one of those two things. Let's start with hotel first. So for the hotel, there are 5 nights, and you obviously want to take a 5th night free situation. So out of the 2 options between Marriott Bonvoy or Hilton Honors, which one would you choose? And there's a very clear answer to this, and that answer is going to be the Hilton Honors program. And the reason for that is because you have a lot of options to earn points very quickly, whereas the Bonvoy program, you don't really have as many options. You're really limited to free night certificates, and even at that point, a lot of the redemptions kind of suck anyways. So if you look at the Hilton Honors program, you can purchase points at 100% sale, obviously. You can pool points up to 2 million points per year into one account. And so if you have 3 other friends, they can also purchase 100% points sale and then pool those points to you for you to do a redemption. If it's a 4 to 6 person redemption, that's going to be maybe 2 to 3 rooms. So you're still going to need about that many points. Of course, you want to get welcome offers from the Hilton Honors cards, noting that if you had the Hilton Aspire card, you have it for diamond status, which is good. Also, you also can use the Hilton business points for those increased earnings. I believe it's 5x points on the catch-all category up to $100,000 in a year, which I don't think many of us will get to, but that would be the way I would earn extra points on top of welcome offers to get to the point where you need to redeem for those hotels. So that's how I would approach the hotel aspect, is with Hilton, for sure. Other options for Hilton is that you could use MR cards to get the welcome offers, then transfer those welcome offers to Hilton itself. So you have Hilton as an MR transfer partner at 1 to 2, which is great. But then you can also get periods where there's a 1 to 2.5 bonus, where you can get even more Hilton points for those MR points. And you can see from the graphic here that I did put the business platinum and the business gold here, because those are the ones that get you the highest amount of welcome offer points. If you wanted to get a lot of points fast, that's how you would do that. So that covers the hotel thing. Now for airline option, it's harder for me to figure out this because I don't know where we're going. Without knowing an exact destination and assuming it's like Hawaii or the Caribbean, I would just choose Alaska, because that is the one I think you can get the most amount of points on, which doesn't seem so, but I think it is because of the fact that of the way the situation is right now. And I would use Alaska Airlines as a way for me to get to that destination. So with Alaska, there's multiple methods in. So you have 2 cards, the Bank of America Alaska and Alaska Business cards. Both of them do come with companion certificates, not only on the card, but sometimes with the welcome offers too. And so you could use those to help give you a subsidized ticket to your destination, which is not exactly redeeming, but still using the benefits as they are intended to get multiple people to a destination. You have the built card transfer option, which is the 1x on rent, and then you can do a 1-to-1 transfer to Alaska. You also have the option of using the Alaska card that we mentioned before. I think it's the personal version only, though, to put your rent on it with a transaction fee, and then you also get 3x Alaska points on that. That can be very valuable depending on if you have that card or not. So if you're focusing on Alaska, that's a very, very cool thing to do. You also have this Amex MR backdoor method through Hawaiian, as we all know of already. So any MR point earning card, you can get that welcome offer on that card and then backdoor that, or not backdoor, but I guess Hawaiian transfer and then backdoor that into Alaska Airlines. And so you have a lot of those options to do that. Plus you have the current Hawaiian and Hawaiian business cards to get too, and those can also transfer to Alaska as well. So you have a lot of ways to get a lot of points quickly into the Alaska program, just from transferring points and from also getting the cards themselves. Lastly, you can also purchase points. Now, this is not the best option, because when I checked my own Alaska account, I got a 60% sale at this point. I don't think they do anything more than that, but at 60%, it's basically each point is worth 1.8 cents per point at a max of 150K points, which is not like the best purchase price, but if you need like those extra points, that option is there for you to choose that from. So that's why I would choose Alaska for that reason. Again, you can also use Alaska for other things too. So you can take Alaska points or Alaska miles, excuse me, and put them into the One World program. So, any One World partner like American Airlines, you could do Cathay Pacific, you can do, Japan Airlines. You could also go to Starlux because Starlux is not part of One World, but you could also transfer them directly because they have a partnership. I don't know if you would want to do this for like a business class flight because there's a lot of people and that availability is not as much. But if you want to do economy, this could be one very easy way to get a lot of points and then redeem them all at once and get you that kind of redemption you're looking for that big mega style family redemption. And that's the strategy I would do at this situation. I know Lucas doing something similar with Hilton. I think he's using a different airline, but this is kind of how I would approach this particular issue.